Right, let's take a little look at the fastest lap bonus point. Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff, and in today's random sort of statistical F1 video, make-believe fantasy, nothing really comes of these types of videos, we are looking at, are there any seasons in which the fastest lap bonus point added last year could have or would have affected the overall championship of that year? So I've done a few of these random sort of videos where I just take a completely random concept in my head and just sort of make a video about it, looking back over sort of many seasons. If you have any random ideas that you would like me to sort of make your own or make into a video, then by all means leave them in the comments and I'll respond to them. I'm currently working on a couple more that should hopefully come out in the near future. So in short answer to this question, yes, there are. There are years in which the championship could have been affected. And to give you a sort of example, I'm going to take you back to 1950, the very first F1 championship 70 years ago. And that was between Farina and Fangio. So it was a 8-race year, an 8-race championship, with Farina ending on 30 points and Fangio just 3 points behind on 27. So this was the official championship end, and because Fangio is only 3 points behind within the number of races that there are in the championship, he does have a possibility of overhauling Farina with the fastest lap edition. So there are 3 possible outcomes for Fangio. He could get 4-0 on the fastest laps, he could win 5-1 or 6-2. Any more than that for Farina, if Farina scores 3, that is it, championship is over, and that's exactly what Farina does. They score 3 apiece, and some simple addition just shows us that it's the same way. Farina is still the 1950 Formula 1 World Champion. So that is basically what I've done. I've gone through the list of all the championship results. I've had a look at the number of rounds of that year and seen if the championship falls within that many number of points, and found that there's a lot actually. There is 36 rounds of Formula 1 in which the championship could have genuinely been affected, which is 51% of the overall history of Formula 1. So we've actually had, every other year, there has been a close battle for the championship. That's not bad. But the key question I suppose now is, are there any seasons of these 36 races in which the championship was affected? So these are all the possibilities that could have been affected. Are there any that have? And yes there are. Quite surprisingly actually, this was really interesting to sort of see this effect. There were 4 championship years in which, if there was a fastest lap point given, the champion would have been different. And the very first was 1976. James Hunt versus Nikki Lauda. As if this year couldn't have been any more iconic. We had Hunt finishing on 69 points and Lauda 1 point behind on 68, having missed just a few races after his crash in Germany. And if we just take a look at the fastest laps, it is James Hunt who scores 2. However, it is Nikki Lauda scoring 4, so after some addition, he finishes 1 point clear on 72 points to Hunt's 71. Wow, as if that year couldn't get any better. But the next year, we only have to wait 3 more years, 1979, Jody Scheckter versus Gilles Villeneuve, the battle of the Ferraris. So we had Jody Scheckter finishing on 51 points and Villeneuve 4 points back on 47. How was it going to fare with the fastest lap bonus point? Quite dominatingly actually, towards Villeneuve's way. 0 fastest laps for Jody Scheckter in 1979 and 6 for Villeneuve. Then adding all of those up, Villeneuve ends up winning by 2 and actually wins a Formula 1 World Championship if there was the bonus point for the fastest lap. However, the next occurrence of a championship change, we've got to wait almost an entire decade. 8 years later, in 1988, Senna versus Prost. Again, as if this rivalry couldn't have been any better. We had Senna finishing on 90 points and Prost 3 back on 87. And when we take a look towards the fastest laps, it is 3-7 between Senna and Prost. Prost was the faster racer, or race pace I suppose, and adding those up, 93 to Senna, but 94 overall to Prost. And the final year in which there is a championship overhaul. We've now got to wait 20 years, and we go to that iconic year, 2008, Lewis Hamilton versus Felipe Massa. Again, a smashing year, a smashing rivalry year. We had Hamilton finishing on 98 points to Massa's 97, losing the championship at your home Grand Prix. That's not, you couldn't really get much of a worse punch in the gut than that, to be honest. But if we take a look at the fastest laps, Hamilton scored 1, but Felipe Massa scored 3 over 2008. And again, doing some quick little maths, 99 for Lewis Hamilton, but the big 100 for Felipe Massa, meaning that he would have won the 2008 championship had there been the fastest lap bonus point. However, there is 1 year out of the 70 that have occurred before this that trumps all of it, and that is 1986. This year, when I actually found this out, was incredible. I had to refrain myself from tweeting about it when I discovered this because it would have just spoiled this whole video, and that was of course the battle between Alain Prost and Nigel Mansell. So we had Alain Prost finishing the championship on 72 points, with Mansell just 2 points behind on 70, losing it in the Williams. But when we take a look at the fastest laps, Alain Prost scores 2, bringing his total to 74, and Mansell scores 4, bringing his total also to 74. They were both equal at the end of the championship. So it comes down to wins for the very first time. If there was a fastest lap bonus point in 1986, for the very first time, the championship would have gone down to who has the most wins. We are tied at the top. And looking at the wins in 1986, Alain Prost had 4, but Nigel Mansell had 5, which means that Nigel Mansell would have overturned Alain Prost's 1986 World Championship and won had there been a bonus point for the fastest lap. And honestly, to me, that is just incredible. That is bonkers. That is just mind-blowing. It's so cool to look back at the history of this and just applying it and seeing what changes actually happen. However, there is, of course, a big however. It's not really the point of the fastest lap. We've had 3 years in the last 10 years. 3 years in the last 10 years in which the championship could have been affected by the fastest lap bonus point. And when I say in the last 10 years, that's when the point system changed to 25 points for first and then all the way through to 1 point for 10th. And that was, of course, 2010, Alonso versus Vettel, 2012, Alonso versus Vettel, and then again in 2016, Rosberg versus Hamilton. So why exactly is that so significant? It's mainly because the fastest lap point isn't designed to affect the championship. It only really affected the championship beforehand in the 1970s, 80s, and then just once in the 2000s because of the way that F1 scored the points, because they were so close always together. It was 10 points for first, then 8, then 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, and then sometimes it was 9, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, sometimes 10, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, I believe. So there's a lot closer point battles in those years compared to nowadays, compared to modern Formula 1. And then again, the biggest caveat of all, if the drivers know that there is an extra point available for the fastest lap, they would drive differently. So they would drive to win the fastest lap bonus point if they knew it was available. So although I've brought up these 5 different years in which the championship would have turned out differently, in all fairness, knowing that there's that extra bonus point available would have made some people drive slightly differently to score that bonus point. So maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? The main idea of it is just to add an extra layer to the strategy, really. You have people that come in, maybe the leader is in by 20-25 seconds in the race currently. He comes in for a pit stop to try and bag the fastest lap bonus point, but the pit stop goes wrong. He falls outside of that window and gets overtaken, and then he's lost the race because he went for the fastest lap bonus point. That is the main reason why it was brought in, to introduce an extra level of strategy. And that is where this video is done. A quick look back at some possible changes that could have occurred had the fastest lap bonus point been introduced in 1950. But like I said at the start, if you've got any random ideas of just anything really that you'd like me to turn into a little video like this, please leave them in the comments, as I know I will slowly start to run out of ideas for me to do. I'm currently working on one at the moment, which should hopefully come out maybe next week, maybe 2 weeks time, something along those lines. But that is all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed that video there, and I will catch you in the next one with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.